Hi guys, today we're gonna talk about reproduction in plants. I wonder why plants die so quickly.
I know, right? They will never reproduce. They will go extinct at this point.
Reproduction? What's that?
Reproduction, well, if you mean in plants, is the production of new offsprings that can be done in two ways, sexually and asexually.
So basically, plants that reproduce sexually go through the process of fertilization and pollination. This process occurs when the male sex organs fuse with the female sex organs of the plants. So basically, in plants, the male gametes will be transferred to the female gametes through the process of pollination, where the pollen grains that contains the male sex gametes will be either blown by the wind or transferred by animals to a flower stigma. The pollen grain then creates a tube that leads to the ovary, or specifically the ovule, where the female gametes are found. After finally connecting to the ovule, both male and female gametes will fertilize and will process to the next step to make the shape of the offspring.
Ugh, but I wonder, do pollination only happen between the same flowers?
Of course not. Pollination can be divided into two, where it is self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination is where pollen grains are transferred between the same flowers, while cross-pollination is the transfer of pollen from one flower to a different flower.
Oh, so I see that was the asexual reproduction.
Well, asexual reproduction can happen in two ways, which is vegetative propagation and fragmentation. The plants will produce clones of themselves during asexual reproduction processes. These clones lack genetic diversity, which make them more vulnerable to diseases and less able to adapt to an environment.
Wait, Selma, didn't we read about this before?
I think I remember the four main steps of fertilization and pollination, which is pollination, germination, penetration of the ovule, and finally, fertilization.
And for the cell division itself, there was the sixth main stage, which was the interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytophase.
That doesn't answer my question though. Why do plants die?
According to research, the most common cause of extinction for either plants or animals is the loss and destruction of their habitat, either caused naturally or through human activities such as deforestation, urbanization, and industrialization. When plants lose their native habitats, they may struggle to find suitable conditions for reproduction and growth.
That isn't the only cause, right?
Why don't you ask them what even causes plant to reproduce?
Okay, maybe Selma can help.
And from knowing the environmental impact through the extinction of species in closely related systems to the far-reaching consequences of biodiversity loss, we can conclude the few loss of a few species can create a cascade of impacts throughout the ecosystem, highlighting the intricate web of relationships that make it so important to maintain biodiversity for the functioning system.
What?
So basically, extinction of one species can cause the other species to slow down their reproduction as well. Some plants need each other to survive in the intricate web of the ecosystem. One extinction of a species can cause the functioning system to collapse, and other plants' extinction too.
Oh, that's probably why plants die.
But then there's also this other thing called variation, which can also link to your previous question. Anyways, Mora, what do you think is variation?
So the variation refers to the range of the different or diversity that exists among individuals within a population or species. Its comparisons differs in traits, characteristic, behavior, and genetic makeup among individuals.
Oh my god, Mora, I didn't know you knew about this.
Well, do you know the types of variation though?
Obviously, it's phenotypic variation and genetic variation. Genetic variation refers to the diversity of genes within a population of plants. Each individual plant has a unique combination of genes inherited from its parents. while it's still being in the same species classification. Genetic variation arises through mutations, genetic combinations during sexual reproduction, and other genetic processes.
And phenotypic variation can include difference in leaf shape, flowers, colors, size, growth rate, and more. Environmental conditions such as the soil type, sunlight exposure, and water availability can influence their traits. Phenotypic variation is what allows plants to adapt to different ecological niches and respond to the changing environmental condition.
And out of these two, plants with genetic variation will die faster. Genetic variation ensures that a population is less vulnerable to diseases, pests, and other threats by developing special improvements that enables them to adapt to new environments. If a population lacks genetic diversity, a single threat could wipe out the entire population, but with high genetic diversity, some individuals are more likely to be resistant to the threat.
So right now, we can say that genetic variation and extinction could cause more extinction to other species of plants.
So, is that all the factors?
Wait. I think we're forgetting another factor here.
Really? I thought we learned everything by now.
Well, that's true, but if you think deeper about it, what do you think causes these genes to be arranged differently from their parents?
I have a feeling it's something related to cell division.
Correct! Cell division comprises of mitosis and meiosis. Basically, mitosis is a process that leads in the production of two cells that are genetically identical, meaning they are divided into two with the same number of chromosomes and the same nuclei. So mitosis might not be much of a help for genetic variation, considering that genetic variation requires the production of cells which are genetically different from their parent.
Oh wow, now that I think about it, I think that meiosis has a bigger role in genetic diversity.
Meiosis?
Meiosis is a specific type of cell division that takes place in gametes, which are reproductive cells and produces genetically different new cells. It involves 2 rounds of division, producing 4 cells that are held by a haploid. Meiosis is especially essential for sexual reproduction because it generates gametes with distinct genetic combinations that increase genetic variety in progeny. So in conclusion, meiosis can help increase genetic variations within a species.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
Yes, anyway, I'm hungry. Let's eat.
Girl, I ain't done yet. And I promise this will be the last thing we're going to explain, because we haven't told the vlog about how even fertilization can cause extinction.
What? I thought fertilization is literally how sexual reproduction can occur. Can you explain it to us?
Basically, fertilization is a sexual process where female gametes fuse with the male gametes to form a zygote. Ultimately, new cells through cell division are produced and can cause genetic diversity, which makes plants more vulnerable to diseases. It can also cause inbreeding and outbreeding depression. Not only that, with the sudden loss of pollinators and climate change, plants who depend on fertilization to reproduce could go extinct very quickly.
Okay, but what makes these pollinators suddenly vanish?
Well, shortly, it might be because of climate change or the destruction of their habitats, which either kills the pollinators or force them to leave and distance away from the flowers.
So your question finally get answered, Gwen.
It's more than enough actually. Thank you for explaining to us how plants reproduce but still go extinct.
So, I guess this is the end of our vlog. Thank you for listening all the way till the end. Yeah. Bye.
Bye!